Today, I will be using a full team of Pokemon based on characters from Monster High. If you have an idea for a Pokemon team, be sure to comment below, and I will use it. And if you like this kind of content, feel free to subscribe. Now let's get right into the battles. Good morning, afternoon, and evening, lovely people. Today I am using a Monster High team. Now, I'm really excited about this team because I really like Monster High. I really like all of the designs and the dolls, especially Draculaura, Cleo, Claudie. There's so many good designs. So anyway, this team was suggested by Bottlenose the Seawing. Thank you so much for the team idea. I have two interesting battles to showcase, and I hope you enjoy them. Now, the opponent is going to lead off with Ariados, which is a really fitting Pokemon for Monster High. And they go for the Sucker Punch, but I missed my Icicle Crash. I wasn't running a triple Axle just because I didn't want to miss, and then I missed Icicle Crash anyway. So I thought, well, okay, I do have Ice Shard, so I could prevent the Sucker Punch. Unfortunately, I wasn't able to stop the Sticky Webs. But I tried to go for a flinch on Icicle Crash, but they're going to swap out into the Salazzle here. Now, definitely fearing a fire-type move from this thing, so I'm going to swap into my Vaporeon here for Laguna. Now, it's less G2 that matches Vaporeon, more so G3 Laguna that matches her, especially since she has that pinkish, purplish skin tone. And the Salazzle is going to go for the Nasty Plot, so I was like, you know, I should be able to tank whatever hit this Salazzle goes for. I'm running an Assault Vest on this thing. This is actually an offensive Vaporeon, so go for the Toxic, probably anticipating that I was more of a tanky Vaporeon with like Wish Protect, but I really don't want to run that. I really don't like using that defensive stuff on the evolutions. I don't even like Vaporeon, so we're gonna swap it to Meowscarada here. Now, I thought for sure like a Flower Trick was incoming, so I'm gonna swap into my Frostlass. I want to see what they're gonna go for. They're gonna go for the U-turn. I was honestly opting to sacrifice this Pokemon, but I'm running heavy-duty boots on this Frostlass, and it's like a physical set with Icicle Crash, Poltergeist, Destiny Bond, and Ice Shard. So the Azelf is gonna come in and revenge KO me with the mystical power here, and I went for the Ice Shard versus it just in case it was like a Focus Sash Azelf. I could have broken the Focus Sash, so bringing in my Vaporeon. Now, I know that I could probably tank whatever hit this this Azelf goes for, considering that it's like a special attacking one, but it has Side Shock. I was like, oh my goodness, that's gonna hit me on the physical side, but thankfully, I was able to take that, and I'm gonna go for the Shadow Ball and take out the Azelf. I was like, whoa, that Pokemon was a big threat. This set is running a Hydro Pump, Ice Beam, Shadow Ball, and Flip Turn for momentum. And I'm running a Terra Fairy on this Pokemon for like a defensive Terra. So the Ariados is going to come in. I know that they're running Sucker Punch, so I don't want to give them the free KO. I could use my Vaporeon as a potential sacrifice in the back. And I'm going to bring in my Gligar here for Draculaura. Now, this is a fully physically defensive Gligar. Now, I have a Sand Tube on this set. I actually missed my previous Sand Tube, but luckily, I was able to land another one. I wasn't sure what the Ariados was going to go for that turn. Maybe they had like Toxic Spikes or something. I'm running an immunity set on this so that I can't get poisoned. Now, this is a Toxic Sandtube Gligar. It's very tanky on the defensive side. So the Iron Valiant comes in, and they have the booster energy in attack. So I was like, ooh, this thing is going to be very offensive. They actually also knocked off my Eviolite, but even still, I should be able to take the hits from this thing, and I do get off the Toxic Poison. Now, this turn I thought, well, I'm going to sacrifice my Vaporeon. I thought this turn was the best turn to do that with. I want to see what they're going to go for. I'm not sure if this Valiant is running Encore. Mainly, that's what I was scouting for, but they end up revenge KOing me with the Spirit Break. So I was like, okay, well, they're going to continuously take more Toxic damage at the very least, so maybe I could sell out the Toxic damage and, like, take these hits. So this Gligar is a max defense Gligar, and I have a Rest and Sleep Talk on this Gligar, so it's going to be able to recover. I'm going to be able to recover my health fully, and the idea with this set was that I could poison a Pokemon and then trap them in with Sandtube and have the Toxic Sandtube combination slowly whittle away and take down my opponent. So the Iron Valiant is going to swap out. Clearly, the Spirit Breaks aren't really doing much to me, even without my Eviolite. And Meowscarada comes in. So I was like, okay, well, I'm definitely fearing triple Axle from this Pokemon. I'm not sure if they have it. I go for Sleep Talk Rest, amazing. But I'm really fearing triple Axle, and I really need this Pokemon to wall the Iron Valiant. So I'm going to swap in Cleo for Espathra. Now, according to Bulbapedia, and according to its like German name, I believe, Espatra does draw inspiration from Cleopatra. So I thought that, you know, Espatra, it's slaying, right? And I thought it was a very good Pokemon for Cleo. So the Meowscarada is gonna trick me a choice band. I was like, okay, it has a life form, first of all. That's definitely very scary, but I was fine with the item trade because I'm actually running a physical Espatra. This is an amazing set. So yeah, I didn't want to run the Lumina Crash or like stored power set on this, so I'm opting for like a fully offensive one. So into Claudine here for Zoroark. This is like a perfect Pokemon. Unfortunately, I wanted to scout out what the Dragapult was gonna do, what it's gonna go for. It took me out with like a U-turn, so I was like, okay, well, that Dragapult's definitely physical. That's what I wanted to scout out mainly, and that was a Choice Scarf Zoroark, so I really couldn't do much, unfortunately, because the Sticky Webs were up, and I was getting outsped by all of the Pokemon that he had in the back anyway, so I unfortunately had to sacrifice my, well, I'm blanking on the Pokemon's name, what the heck? I had to sacrifice my Zoroark, jeez. So, I'm gonna Terrasilize my Magnezone here for Frankie. Now, this was a hard character to designate a Pokemon to. I was gonna go with Obstagoon because Obstagoon has that like black and white color scheme. You know, she has that black and white hair. But that's mainly G2 Frankie. So G3 Frankie, I thought was a really good fit for Magnezone. First of all, because Frankie uses they them pronouns, right? Second of all, sometimes they experience like shocks and everything, right? Because, you know, they're based on Frankenstein and everything. So I thought Magnezone was like it was an okay fit. I guess I tried my best to come up with like the best characters, but a lot of the characters, the Pokemon that best fits them weren't even in Scarlet and Violet, unfortunately. So the Dragapult is going to set up Dragon Dances. I did get some really crucial Flash Cannon chip damage. That is a Magnet Pull Magnezone, by the way. I'll explain that set more later. So I'm going to get taken out by the Dragon Darts, but they are Life Orb, so I thought I could stall out their Life Orb damage. It's going to get very close whether or not my Magnezone is going to be able to tank this. I'm running a max defense Magnezone with max speed, and this set is designed to trap steel types, or I could force them to Terrasilize, and that would cause my Gligar to poison and Sand Tomb. So there is synergy between Draculaura and Frankie there because I could bait out the Terra from like Skarmory or Corviknight because I'm running a Thunderbolt and Flash Cannon and Iron Defense Body Press with Terra fighting on that set. So the last Pokemon is the Iron Valiant. It's poisoned, so I thought, you know, I am like still max defense. I should be able to take these hits very well, which I do, but it's gonna get very close, right? So I'm gonna go for the Sleep Talk. I'm hoping that I'm gonna get Sand Tomb on this turn, and I do get Sand Tomb. I was like, wow, that was really lucky, but I missed. I was like, no, that's the problem with this set. I'm running very low accuracy moves, so I have to kind of rely on me being able to hit those moves. So Valiant is gonna go for the Spirit Break on me. It's doing like some good chip damage, but I should be able to take another one. So I'm gonna wake up and go for the Sand Tube. I didn't want to risk going for like a rest that turn just in case I don't get my like Sand Tube like damage off on this thing. Besides the timer was getting low at this point, so I thought, you know, I'm just gonna risk it. If they crit me, then that's gonna be really unfortunate, but thankfully I'm able to take that hit, and just barely, and I'm gonna be able to go for the rest. I'm gonna go back to Eep, and this Draculaura is just slaying at the moment, so I'm gonna recover my health back to full, and this Iron Valiant is basically cooked because it's going to take some toxic damage and with the Sand Tube damage, and that's going to be enough to take out the Val, and it was a valiant effort, I will say, and that's going to be the end of the first game. So hope you all enjoyed that game. Now on to the second game. Now this game was also pretty interesting. So the opponent is going to lead Gardevoir here. I'm going to lead off with my Espatra. Now this physical Espatra definitely did a lot more in this battle. So I have U-turn on this. This is a Terra fighting Espatra. I also have I'm not running Speed Boost on that Espatra. I'm running Opportunist, just in case the opponent sets up like Swords Dance or Dragon Dance or Shell Smash. I can swap in and copy the attack and Speed Boost, and then I could be like an actual Pokemon. So the Gardevoir is gonna come in and it's gonna be Hypnosis Dream Eater. I was like, oh my goodness, I'm pretty sure that's the first time I've ever seen Dream Eater used in this game, like ever, because I'll be honest, I thought this move didn't even exist anymore. So they're gonna go for the Moonblast next turn. They actually critical hit me, and it does some decent damage, but thankfully because of my Assault Vest, I'm able to tank the hits. So I'm gonna go for the flip turn, and I'm gonna flip turn out into my Frostlass here, except that I'm not Frostlass because I go for knockoff, and yeah, I'm running the Zoroark. So this is a Choice Scarf Zoroark. I needed the speed control on this team. So this has a knockoff, low kick, U-turn, and trick. So they're gonna swap into Hisui Decidueye, definitely thinking that I'm Zoroark because of course like Frostlass does not get knockoff to my knowledge. So I'm gonna speed up this part of the battle because this Hisui Decidueye had Leaf Blade and Triple Arrows actually got a defense drop versus me. So I was like, okay, well, even with the defense drop, I am still very, very, very tanky on the defensive side. Gligar is no joke within a Violite. This thing is like a mini ice score. I mean, obviously it's a pre-evolution, but still. So I'm gonna go to sleep. I'm gonna take all of the Leaf Blades coming from this Hisui Decidueye, and it's gonna get trapped by the Sand Tube Toxic combination. So I thought this is really good. I'm getting some really good chip damage, and this Gligar has been really nice. Unfortunately, Crobat, like the Zubat line isn't in this game, and I thought, like, you know, Lunala and like Noibat, I didn't think were as good fits as Gligar, especially since Gligar has like the bat like Dracula like wings. So they're gonna bring in the Dragonite. Now, the thing about the set is that I'm very prone to setup, so the Dragonite is gonna Dragon Dance in front of me. I'm not sure if this Dragonite is gonna be running a Ice Spinner or not, or like any kind of like super effective move to deal with me. I get Sleep Talk Toxic though. I was like, wow, that was really lucky. I'm really thankful to get that because not only do I break this Pokemon's multi-scale, but I also put it on a timer, thankfully. And like, that's the only thing I could do versus Dragonite because I also have obviously I have Sand Tube, but that's not going to affect this thing. So they're going to set up another Dragon Dance. Now they're +2 in attack and speed. Now I thought this turn, well, I'm gonna wake up, but I'm gonna go back to sleep because I really want to be at full health for another one of the physical Pokemon that they have in the back that could prove to be really, really, really threatening. So recovering my health all the way up to full this turn, and I thought, well, okay, I'm probably gonna sacrifice my Vaporeon here because it's on a very low amount of health, and the Dragonite is gonna be leftovers with Dragon Dance. So I was like, okay, well, that's annoying because obviously it's gonna probably have a lot more survivability, but I want to see if this is gonna go for Ice Spinner. Maybe I could take an Ice Spinner and have them take more toxic damage, but they end up going straight for Outrage, and I was like, oh my goodness, that is definitely gonna take out my Laguna, unfortunately. So I thought, well, that sucks because that was also my Terra Fairy Pokemon. I could have Terrastalized into a Fairy type that turn. So I thought here, well, I don't want to swap in my Magnezone because I really want to keep as much health as possible on that thing. So what I want to do here is get some Ice Shard, go for that Ice Shard. Unfortunately, it doesn't even take it out, even with the 4-time super effectiveness. Jeez, this Pokemon is a tank. And yeah, I'm going to get taken out by that Outrage. I'm actually running a Terra Ice on that Ghoulia, but like I didn't want to go for the Terra that turn. So the Dragonite is gonna get taken out by the poison. Thankfully, that was a really threatening Pokemon. Obviously, with Dragon Dance, it could have had a Terra Normal Extreme Speed as well. That could have been a problem. So I'm gonna swap in my Magnezone now, and they're going to swap into their Ogerpon. So I was like, okay, I'm very worried about this Pokemon. So yeah, I'm gonna go for the U-turn on my Magnezone. I don't know why I put quotation marks around U-turn as if I didn't use it. Like that's my Zoroark, by the way. So the Ogerpon is going to go for the low kick. I was like, okay, that would have done some really decent damage to either my Zoroark or my Magnezone. So that was a good catch to that as I swapped in my Gligar. Now, interestingly, the Ogerpon is going to set up the grassy terrain. So I was like, oh, geez, these Ivy Cudgels are going to hurt. I was really worried about this Pokemon potentially terrestrializing because obviously it gets that speed boost and it also further powers up its Ivy Cudgel. So they're gonna go for the Ivy Cudgel this turn. Jeez, that does so much damage to me, even with my max defense. So I thought, okay, well, I need to get off a toxic poison. Even the Sand Tomb would be nice to get this turn, and I do get the toxic, thankfully. I was like, wow, I'm getting really lucky on my Sleep Talk with Draculaura. This is amazing. So they're gonna now be put on a timer, and you know they do have the grassy terrain recovery at the very least, but I do make sure that this Pokemon has a time limit on it at the very least. So I'm gonna be able to take the Ivy Cudgel. I went for the Sand Tube this turn just to try to get as much chip damage as possible, but yeah, I missed my Sand Tube. How many moves have I missed on this Draculaura? I mean, That's the problem with the set, obviously, the accuracy issue. So they're gonna take me out with the Ivy Cudgel. Finally, my Draculaura goes down. But let me tell you, Draculaura absolutely slayed. I think she has like my favorite design. Obviously, I'm biased towards dyed hair, of course. So like the fact that she has like split dyed hair is like it looks so nice, especially that color scheme. So I'm gonna swap into my Magnezone again, except that I'm not Magnezone. I'm still the Zoroark. So I'm gonna take them out with the U-turn. Thankfully, they don't Terrasilize either. And that's gonna be me swapping out into my Espatra this turn, and I do get some cheeky grassy terrain recovery. So I thought I should be able to U-turn on whatever they bring in, and they do bring in their Terrapagos this turn. So I was like, okay, that's good, because I could go for the U-turn this turn, and I could break its Terra Shell ability so that, you know, Terra Shell, obviously, like, it makes all moves not very effective if it's, like, on full health. So I could be able to break that and do a lot of damage with the Pokemon that I have in the back. So I'm going to swap out there. I'm going to take some Life Orb chip damage. And, okay, this time I'm actually bringing Frankie. Frankie is actually in this time. Because you can tell because I have the air balloon on this thing. So, interestingly, they have Bug Buzz on this set. So I thought, you know, Terrapagos has a lot of coverage. And I assume that this thing has Earth power, of course. So I'm going to opt to Terrasilize this turn into a fighting type. And that's also going to boost the power of my Body Press as well. It's going to do some crazy damage. So going for the Body Press on the Terrapagos, it does so much damage, but Terrapagos is just so bulky, and they do end up having Earth power. So I was like, okay, that's great. I ended up really capitalizing on the fact that they would go for the Earth power, and that's gonna take out the Terrapagos. So I was like, this is a really great position that I'm in. So they're gonna bring in the Vaporeon, and they're gonna Terrasilize. Now, I'm not sure what Terra this Vaporeon is running, but it ends up just being Terra Water. I was like, interesting. I'm not sure if this is like a defensive Vaporeon or if it's like an offensive one. So I'm just gonna go for the Thunderbolt. Jeez, that does so much damage. Magnezone is. I'm not even running any special attack investment. I love this Pokemon. Magnezone is like one of my favorite Pokemon. So I'm very excited to use it on the team. But I get Skull Burned, unfortunately. So dang, that's gonna be the end of my Magnezone. But like, I do have my Scarf Zoroark in the back with like knockoff that I could easily take out this Vaporeon with in the end game. But I thought, you know, I'm gonna give Cleo some screen time because Espatra interestingly gets Seed Bomb. It gets a really interesting coverage. It gets U-turn, Zen Headbutt, Low Kick, and Seed Bomb. That's the set that I'm running on this physical Espatra. So that's the end of both games. Thank you all so much for watching. My name is SkyLaaa. Don't forget to smile, and I will see you all next time.